Hi, it's Ed, and I welcome you to Global TV Talk Show again. I want to introduce our sponsors. Global TV Talk Show is co-sponsored by Porchlight Rental and Destination Services. That's porchlightrental.com, porchlightrental.com. Also by cubemonk.com. That's cubemonk.com. It's an innovation in also good packaging, freight forwarding, wonderful invention. And by the relocation management company, AIRS Relocation. That's AIRES, airs.com. Thank you for being a sponsor of Global TV Talk Show. This is Ed. I'm in San Diego in Global TV Talk Show, which is a unit, a business unit of globalbusinessnews.net. Very much welcome, you guys. Thank you very much. Okay, so Sandrine Bardot is an international expert, well-renowned for compensation and benefits. In the past has directed Microsoft Europe from that level, International Comp and Ben, and she spoke at our 1999 Paris conference, and that's how we met. And we've stayed in touch, and for the past, 13 years, you've been in Dubai, correct?
Yes.
Abu Dhabi. And
Hi,
now,
everybody.
yeah, okay.
I'm currently in Dubai, yes. I moved between the two, but I'm currently in Dubai.
All right, that's great. So Sandrine has been a frequent guest on Global TV and will be again coming up, and is actually an advisor to me. Mark Kolos from Vice President with Chipman Logistics and Relocation in U.S. West. Hello, Mark. Welcome.
Hello, Ed.
Great. Now, tell me about findcures.org. That's a charity about neurological disease and funding research. Okay.
I've been in the relocation industry for about 40 years. Started out selling van line moving for a small agency in Cerritos, California, and then progressed through the ranks, I guess you could say, within that industry. Today, I primarily move laboratories for groups that are researching for cures for various chronic neurological diseases. And that's when I started my foundation, was about 5 years ago.
Findcures.org.
Findcures.org. And we have the third annual golf tournament coming up in York, California.
That's in October, right?
October 12th.
All right, so we have to wear masks?
Yes, you will.
Yeah, okay.
They can be
For golf.
golf-friendly masks, but no, if you think of the different sports you could play, playing golf is probably one of the safest ones as far as COVID goes. You've got to worry about the guy next to you in the cart. And the rest of the time, you get them all spread out all over the place on the playing field. So,
all right. Are you serving vodka on the carts also?
Yeah, we're going to have fun. But Find Cures is devoted to two focuses. One is to bring hope to individuals that get diagnosed with neurological diseases. I got diagnosed about 12 years ago with Parkinson's. I was 48 years old. I had a wife and 3 children, and a turtle and a dog to support. I was a sole provider, and it was a big pill to swallow to hear that you've got Parkinson's.
Yeah.
If you know about Parkinson's, it's not fun. It's not easy. But I've learned so much from the experience. I've gained so many different inspirational ideas and thoughts and philosophies that have come from all that. I'm just thankful for the experience and for what I've learned. So that's a little bit about our foundation. There's 5 of us that run it, Ed, and the 5 board members each have had a neurological disease, or they have a family member that has a neurological disease. So we're on the front end of all this.
All right, so we have participants in not on screen. You're welcome to jump on the screen if you wish, say hello. You're welcome to ask questions. You're very welcome to use our interactive chat. If you don't want to be seen, we can still get your questions and comments. So type away if you want to do that. Once again, this is live worldwide right now. It is being recorded for placement on globalbusinessnews.net and through that link to our YouTube channel, which you'll hear about later. All right, moving right along. Roger Sorhagen is in New Jersey. Is that you on a horse, or is that one of your students, or 2 of you?
Yeah, those are 2 of my students. They're horses, and yeah. But Mark, I just want to comment really quick. I absolutely admire your project, what you just spoke about, and turning negatives into positives is what it is all about. And I can't tell you how much respect I have for you. And I invite you to send me an invitation to this golf outing. And hopefully, if I'm not afraid to get on a plane, I'll come and participate. And if not, at least make some kind of donation. And I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you for conquering and turning negatives into positives. So,
amen.
Cheers to you. Cheers.
Amen. Amen. All right. Yeah, it's really good. So Mark is going to talk a little bit about his specialty, which is helping research scientists and doctors move brain tissue and other very, very sensitive material. And that's become his specialty. Anyway, we'll get back to you very soon. Thank you for your comments, Bruce Waller. Bruce, you're in Dallas area, right?
I am. Dallas, Texas, North Dallas.
Yeah, North Dallas. So is that near the George Bush Freeway?
Yeah, it's not too far. I'm actually about 30 miles north of the city. And George Bush Freeway is right in between where I'm at and the city of Dallas. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Okay, so Bruce, are you still selling those books?
Yes. So actually, I wrote a book a couple of years ago called Find Your Lane. It's really about my biography. And what I didn't realize is how much it would resonate with people in the HR industry in regard to talent development. So I got a copy of it right here. I don't know if it's called Find Your Lane, and it's really about perspective. I want to just real quick, I want to echo Roger's comments about Mark. It's very inspiring. I'm going to definitely check out the link and appreciate you sharing your story and continuing to share your story to help others. So I appreciate that so much.
Yeah, so it's findcures.org, and we're very happy to keep promoting it. Okay, so Bruce Waller, you're with Armstrong Relo, and very renowned, very busy in the North Texas area with relocation and HR, right?
That's correct. So I've been, I guess, in the industry since 1995, so almost 25 years. Been with Armstrong for 17 years now. My primary focus is in the national corporate household goods business. I also help with some commercial moving projects as well. And I also serve on the Texas SHRM State Council, so real involved in the HR community, just trying to figure out how we can, serve HR professionals in not only mobility, but just as an HR resource. And Armstrong Relocation, many people may know this. So one of the largest United offices in the country. We've got 30 offices in 19 states. And I'm based out of Dallas. Our corporate office is in Memphis, Tennessee. All
right. And so you have a talk show also, don't you?
I do. As a matter of fact, COVID, the start of COVID, I started a project that I really wanted to, I've been talking about it for about 5 years. And it's funny how sometimes once we get in a challenging situation, we start pushing forward. And so I started a podcast in actually the end of April called Life in the Leadership Lane. It's a podcast on Apple, Spotify, and other podcast platforms, and I also put it on YouTube. And what I do is I'm just talking to leaders primarily in the HR community, but leaders that are making a difference in the workplace, just finding out how did they get started, what are they doing, what are leadership practices that they do every day to kind of keep them where they're at. And my hope is just to encourage anyone who's listening, maybe pick up an idea of some of these leaders that are making impact, and hopefully help them get better so they can help others get better.
Great. All right, let's welcome Drew Phillips. He's hanging out in Lake Tahoe, California, and say hello.
Ed, thanks for having me. Yes, I am in in wireless or Wi-Fi free South Lake Tahoe in a undistripped bunker, I guess you could call it. It's a great little cabin. Happy to be here. And just happy to join the likes of you here on this global call. Yeah, different times, but great people nevertheless. Happy to be a part.
So let's see, Lake Tahoe, you're at about 6,000 or 7,000 feet up, right?
Exactly. Yeah, between 75. You're just at the base here of the mountains, right? The lake is about 7,000, 7,500.
Yeah. So clear blue sky.
It's gorgeous. I won't say more than that. People send me hate mail when I describe how awesome the locations I get to work from or broadcast from are. We're spoiled out here, Ed, in the West, I believe, and I'm thankful for it.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to introduce Roy Phelps. Roy Phelps is Chief Commercial Officer with QMM, an allied agency across Canada. Hi, Roy.
Hey, good morning.
Welcome. Are you in Calgary today?
I'm in Calgary, absolutely.
Yeah. So do you have horses? Do you ride Broncos? Or?
Well, that's what we should be doing this time of year. We have the world famous Calgary Stampede that should have started on Friday, but like so many other things in our world, it's been canceled. But usually, if you were to be in Calgary, all you'd see is cowboy hats and cowboy boots and horses and Broncos and all that kind of fun stuff. But we're having to take a break this year for obvious reasons.
Yeah, tight-fitting jeans too on some people.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Calgary Stampede and then the Saddle Dome there. Yeah, that's one of the coolest things to see.
Yeah, that stuff is close to my heart, Roy. I've been around that all my life. I'm surprised that I guess they didn't want to run it without spectators because it's just such a gigantic spectator drawn event.
They get I think attendance is somewhere 300,000 people or whatever end up going through the gates. So obviously when you're trying to control gatherings, that's kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum of what they're trying to achieve. But you know what, when we get through this and things get back to normal and we have the Stampede, you know where to find me, and I'd be happy to host you up here if you were going to come check it out.
All right.
I could take you up on that.
Well, me too. I've never been to Calgary. I'd like to do that. So
let's all go.
So Roy and I met in Toronto a couple of years ago when I produced a meeting at Shopify, a live meeting. Wow. And then he progressed into being a speaker and chief sponsor of our global meeting in Toronto last October 31 at BMO. In their penthouse suite. So thank you very much again for doing that. Someday, another time. But so as a matter of fact, I've spoken with the people at BMO since, and fairly recently, in fact, and they'd be very interested to host me again when and if it all goes clear. So just to let you know.
Yeah.
Roy, so you have offices in all across Canada, right?
Yeah, that's right, Ed. We got offices in Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver, and Toronto, and we service all of Canada as well as cross-border. And we use a self-haul model, and so we actually have a number of drivers right now that are located in the U.S. Household goods has been deemed an essential service, during this pandemic. So, despite the fact there's been lockdowns, and it looks like a lot of folks, even on this call, working from home today. Our drivers have been out there servicing clients throughout, and a lot of it into and out of the U.S.
Yeah. All right, let's introduce Brian Limperopoulos from IAM. Thank you so much for your time today.
No, thanks for you nailed the pronunciation there.
Actually, I've got some Greek blood in me, and got some family. So been to Athens and the Peloponnesian Islands over I forget, how to pronounce that. But Ermione is about 100 kilometers south of Piraeus. And so we stayed in a B&B before they called it Airbnb. And it was a beautiful place on top of this hill. And we had two Greek Orthodox churches on either side of us, and they compete each hour with the bells. So it was really something. It was a great time being in Greece and Greek islands.
Yeah,
anyway,
it's really beautiful, and that's where my family's from, the Peloponnese down south.
Oh, yeah, it's cool.
One of these days, I've never been to.
Oh, you got to go.
I need to get over there. That's assuming Europe lets us in at some point in the near future. That's the key. But Brian Propolis, coming from International Association of Movers. Many of you are employees of companies who are members of the association, and our key value to a lot of our companies and people is connecting people at our conference. And now we're doing just like what you're doing, Ed, and what you're doing, Bruce, is we're taking all of our we're having to pivot during coronavirus, and we're doing a lot of things like this: webcasts, virtual conversations, webinars, and things of that nature, just trying to give an outlet to our members to network, to learn, and to establish connections. So this is a fertile ground for us as well, to connect with people while they're at home in this environment.
Well, I really appreciate your coming to our Washington, D.C. meeting on Embassy Row. It was February 27, you and Ray Da Silva. And that happened to be the last live meeting that I was able to produce. And so, boy, it's been dry since. So I've learned how to do this kind of a thing, and I thank you for wanting to be on the show here. So this is our conference series. We're going to be doing 100 of these between now and Christmas, which is about 4 a week. And so if you want to come back anytime, let me know. We've got space and time and a big microphone if you want it. So what about IAM here in San Diego? I happen to live across the street from the Hyatt, where the IAM is supposed to be. I mean, I'm looking right out the window and I see the spires right there. And I have to tell you, the hotel's been closed and still is. I spoke with the security manager on one of our walks in Seaport Village, which is, again, right across the street here. And this was about a week ago. Joanne and I were out walking, and we said, so when are you opening up? He says, well, we think around July 4th, but it may get pushed. So they're beginning to open up. They're working all over the hotel, but it's a ghost town here in San Diego without all the convention business. So this is real hardcore. I don't want to alarm anybody, but it's a ghost town in downtown San Diego. Beautiful place.
It's that way everywhere, Ed. It's just not by you. So
yeah. So
different times.
Yeah, it's crazy. So Sandrine, how's business in Dubai?
Well, if we're talking of the current situation, it's reopening. I think it's not fully under control yet, but it's a lot more under control than at the beginning of the pandemic. I'm sorry, you will hear a little bit of call to prayer. They're calling right now. But as we see the shops reopen, and for us it's the malls because it's very hot. It's 44 degrees Celsius, so socialization in summer is indoors for us. It's not outdoors, and it's in the malls. And even though the malls are reopen, I think a lot of people are going back in the malls, but not necessarily spending as much as they used to. Because I think that it's like in the US and other parts of the world, some people have lost their jobs, so of course, or they've been on leave without pay, so it's the equivalent of furlough in the US. So obviously, money is tight, so we see that has an impact. But hopefully things will start up. I was reading an article yesterday that the non-oil economy in Dubai has had its best performing month in June for the last 6 months. So even from before the pandemic. So hopefully that will start a new a new era, let's say, or a new beginning, inshallah, as we say in the region.
Inshallah, indeed.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what everybody says.
Yeah. So you're speaking at some kind of convention soon, aren't you?
So I just spoke at the Compensation and Benefits Forum, which went online for the first time, obviously, pivoting like all of us. And I might soon, I'm just been invited to participate to another HR Summit in September and another series of compensation and benefits, I don't know, webinars, let's say. So yeah, there's a lot of that going on, and I think it's great. I shouldn't say that the pandemic is great for that, but it's that outcome has been a very positive one. I think in that we're more open now to do this, and even to be in a conversation with, I don't know any of you gentlemen, I don't think you know each other, but maybe 6 months ago we would have been more reluctant to do it.
Right.
And now we're doing it. So this is at least a good side of it.
Okay, now I want to zero in on your business, okay, and help these people understand how good you are with the topic of international comp and ben. Okay. I don't mean to embarrass you, Ben, but Sandrine is a recognized global expert, and so question about how can companies redirect their comp and ben, their package, their rewards package in face of work from home and performance management? How can they do that?
So I would say in the part of the world where I live, which is the Gulf Cooperation Council, the GCC, so that's Saudi Arabia, UAE, Dubai and Abu Dhabi, Bahrain, Qatar, Oman, and Kuwait. Everybody who's not a local national is called an expat, but we're all on local contracts, but we have contracts that are made of basic salary plus housing allowance and sometimes other allowances like transportation and so on. So some companies in our part of the world have stopped paying some of the allowances because transportation allowance, if everybody's working from home, why would you pay for it and so on. But other than that, which is specific to my region, I would say that a lot of organizations have tried to control their costs, and most importantly by not necessarily letting people go and so on, but by reviewing their incentive plans, their variable pay, and trying to make sure that the targets are being set in a way which makes sense. And I think also a lot of organizations may not pay salary increases at all for 2020, and that might be one of the options. This for the industries that are impacted negatively, obviously, if you're a hand sanitizer manufacturing company at the moment, maybe your situation is different. But for the rest of the economy, I would say that's what's happening at the moment.
You know, what's very interesting is, in my experience with this, and I've been in household goods relocation and dealing with corporate relocation literally all my life, is through recessions and something like this pandemic, the corporations of the world as well as America, they learned very, very valuable lessons and are able to cut budgets all over and find a way to build efficiencies again without as much of the expense. So I think, you're right on target for what you said, Sandrine, that there's going to be less fluff that's going to be shared.
Yeah, but I think, at the same time, this is only accelerating some movements that were already taking place in the world of how people are paid, how do you manage engagement. So one of the things that we see growing is a more focus on recognition. So where, and especially peer-to-peer recognition, where employees can say to one another, you did a good job. This is all facilitated by mobile platforms and so on. And you don't need to necessarily spend a huge amount of money. Focus on engagement, employee well-being, mental health, and emotional well-being as well, would be places where employers probably don't spend necessarily as much money as they would on, in terms of cash, as they would on salaries, but where that would have a very positive impact to make employees feel taken care of, which I think is the most important at this part. For those who still have a job, to feel that the employer is trying to do their best to do something, even if that is not as much as what could be done before. So we'll have a
I would agree.
Is anybody working from the office, Sandrine, where you're at, or is everybody working from home?
They're starting to send people back to the office. Government is starting to send their employees back to office, but in a gradual manner. So it's not 100% back, even though the possibility is there. Private sector, I would say, from what I understand, mostly continues to work from home where they can. But we have lots of laborers, we have lots of frontline. For us, like home delivery was big already, well before the pandemic. So, and the restaurants never stopped delivering at home during the pandemic. There was a huge explosion of of e-commerce. So those were always working as well. So.
Great. Thank you very much for this interchange. Because the issue of international comp and ben and the redesigning of pay packages in the new now work from home situation, and the idea of how do you pay for performance when you can't get out and see a lot of people, and where's the revenue coming from, and how do you get compensated? And then all the engagement issues, the personnel feedback. It's a crazy time coming up, isn't it?
Yes.
Hey, Ed, I'm like thrilled to death. It's been this Thursday, I'm actually going to be meeting a client for lunch.
Wow.
In an outdoor restaurant. And I haven't seen that person in like 3 months. I usually would see that person 3 months, maybe 5 months now. And it's like, I'm actually going to have a corporate lunch, outdoors, probably with a face mask, but it's like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. I get to do something other than, sit at my computer.
Yeah. So Marcolo, are you having any face-to-face meetings?
I have some. You'd be surprised. You'd think that everything would be shut down completely from COVID, but there are some industries that are thriving. Logistics and relocation is one area that still has to move forward in some cases.
Yeah.
So, no pun intended.
Yeah. So Roy, are you able to get some meetings?
You know what? We've been doing everything virtually. Even over the last few weeks, we do an annual account reviews with all of our different clients, and all of that was done in this exact same format, Ed, using Zoom. So we've gotten very good at doing it. Right now, I'm in my office, but they're really kind of shying away. A lot of companies that we deal with actually have a policy that there is no outside people to be visiting their offices. So they're still discouraging that personal interaction. So we're just kind of following suit, and we'll be the first ones to do those in-person meetings once we get the green light.
Yeah, good. And Brian, are you doing any face-to-face in Washington?
No. I've had one face-to-face meeting since March 10th, I guess. And that was just kind of an internal staff meeting. But the association, our clients are our members, and our members are 2,000 companies in over 170 countries. So I'm on Zoom pretty much all day long. It's just, that's how I communicate, like you guys, I mean, right now, but I'm up at 10 p.m. some nights communicating with, East Asia, coordinating conference calls for committees across 17 time zones. So this has basically been my life for the last 4 months. And I'm very much looking forward to a vaccine. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
It's a lot more work than people think, right, Brian?
Yeah.
I mean, it just doesn't seem to stop. Whereas, like in sales, and we all do that, it seemed a lot easier to, drive to the airport, get on a plane, do your business, and then come back. You took a breath. Whereas now it's like it's really nonstop, really nonstop. That's the way I feel about it.
You know what?
That's
I was
really
just going to mention.
Yeah, and I'll just jump in really quick. I just feel like I don't feel burnt out, but I do feel like the work-life balance is really tough to manage right now because there's just no escape right now.
Yeah.
At least when you would travel, you could get out, you could go for a walk in different places.
Yeah, there's no balance.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Brian, because I think that's one of the biggest challenges it's been for me as well as for many people, and I'm calling it transition. Right, we're not transitioning. So before I would get up and I would do my workout and I would drive 30 miles into Dallas and go to the office, and then I would walk to different cubicles, talk to people, and then you drive to a meeting and you're transitioning. And during that transition time, you're listening to podcasts, you are thinking, right? You're reflecting. And today you're just scheduling back to back to back because your calendar's open. You're like, okay, I can do a meeting then. Okay, let's fit it in there. Let's fit in. And next thing you know, it's the end of the day and we're just burnt.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel the same, right? It's just weird. It's just there's no neutral.
Yeah, and I was just going to say that Roger, I actually met for the first time with a business partner for lunch. And I too have a lot of virtual meetings, and there is just nothing like being 6 feet away from someone to like feel how they're feeling. And so anyway, I just wanted to mention that. I'm ready for more of that. Sandrine, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. No, I was just trying to say that I've actually had to create a new routine to tell my brain that this is the end of my day, because when you move from looking at your screen all day long and then you're stuck at home, so what do we have to do at home? Not that many things. So maybe you move to another screen to watch Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever. So just to try and create a new routine, we actually bought an elliptical exercise machine, the one where you do with the arms and legs. And I try to do 20 minutes of that when I say it's the end of my day, just for my brain to say this is the end of the day and I'm disconnecting. And I'm also taking care, hopefully, of my heart at the same time. So this has been for me, and I never did that before, by the way. I never went to the gym before the pandemic. So I'm actually having a healthier habit now than before. But I think it's important if we try to do that, find our way to tell our brain that that's the end of the day. And then I might jump in on a call or something like that, but at least I know that that's the last one. It's still the end of the day. So.
Okay, Drew, what are you doing? Do you go fishing?
Well, listen, Ed, you know, as I expressed the other day, I have escaped for the holiday and for 4 some odd days up here to Tahoe, but I'll hike, I'll go fishing, so on and so forth. But listen, the California Bay Area is in different segments, different counties has been, open in different phases, right? So we've had everything from in Southern California, where you even have, indoor dining. Also up in Napa, in Sonoma County, there's been indoor dining. To absolutely nothing of the sort in maybe some of the more inner city like Alameda and San Francisco County. Things are not open for restaurant visits. So I have been able to secure some face-to-face meetings in the last couple of weeks, depending on what region I'm in, to discuss whether it's mobility needs or relocation needs or what have you. So
that has, like Bruce has exclaimed, that has been great. Just to re-energize yourself with that conversation in person with another being other than those you're currently quarantined with for the last 3 months. So it's been, it's been good. I mean, listen, as we are having virtual, I can see faces, I can hear voices and things of that nature, but there's nothing like just sharing that one-to-one in person, endearment, if you will, and just openness. It's a whole different feeling.
Thank you. So Mark Colo has a really cute, 45-second commercial about their how they're appealing to young people, and sort of like a gamification of household goods, relo logistics, if you will.
Managing your FF&D supply chain poses a big challenge, as in this big. From beginning to end, supply chains involve so many vendors to manage and hold accountable. Unless you choose Chipman. With Chipman, you have a single vendor you can trust, from order to installation. We manage the freight's journey from shipping point forward, and you can track your product at any given time. With company-owned warehouses across the West Coast and service centers throughout the nation, Chipman offers the same excellence to you, regardless of where you do business. We receive, inspect, and inventory your product according to your purchase order. Our robust web-based warehouse management software makes it easy to view your inventory in our warehouses. Because Chipman is an asset-based logistics company, we have the resources to deliver your product on schedule and to respond to expedited requests. We can even go the final mile with full FF&D and OS&D installation services. We work to ensure your project finishes on time and on budget. We've built a single source solution for our customers, offering freight management, warehousing, delivery, installation, and project management. Make Chipman your logistics partner on your next hospitality project.
Well, good, thank you. Roy, so you have horses and animals all across Canada. Are you experienced in relocating animals?
You know what? Not very often. We probably end up doing like maybe, 1 or 2 a year. A lot of times we find we do mostly corporate relocations. So a lot of times those aren't included in the policy, and I'm sure my other colleagues here on the call in the household goods industry probably have a few animal relocation stories. But I know one of the things that happens with, small dogs and small cats, we've had a few VIPs in the last couple of years where that's been the most important thing in their shipment. Yeah. And, we've actually sent them in the tractor with the driver. And we did that very recently on a move from, it was going from BC down to Arkansas. And when they got to the other end, the cats didn't want to leave the driver. They had become attached and bonded to the driver. So yeah, we've seen that. We've got a few animal stories like that. But to be, quite honest, the thing when it comes to like relocating something like horses or dogs, it's absolutely expensive. So a lot of times it's outside of policy and it gets denied. But we've had a few funny cases where we've taken them, to the driver.
I had a case about 14, 15 years ago. I was head of international comp for this company in Italy, and we were sending this gentleman back from US back to France. And he was one of the top executives in the organization, and he had 40 exotic birds. Each bird was super expensive.
Oh my God.
And my God, to find a relocation company that would even find out how to move those birds internationally with quarantines, periods of, I don't know what they needed. I mean, they needed permits and special insurance, and 2 of them died in the move.
Oh, no.
And the guy was devastated. I remember this guy was a super senior guy, and he was screaming at me because 2 of the birds died. And we had told him, look, we're not even supposed to do it, but the CEO of the organization, I'm talking of a big multinational there, CEO of the organization had said to the HR director, I want this guy to be dealt with, he had a boat, he had a piano, he had the birds. I mean, it was a complicated move, but he was mostly attached to the birds. Yes, you're right. I think because you can't replace. I mean, a boat is damaged, a car is damaged, a piano is damaged. You go like, but it's the stuff which is personal. For me, when I moved, I've been relocated multiple times to different countries. And one time there was one piece of piece of china that was broken. That was the only thing that was broken in the move. And that just happened to be a piece of china that my great grandmother was a professional painter on china. This is where I come from, in Limoges. And it broke, and I cried for a week. And that it didn't have any financial value, but that was the sentimental value. So yeah, people pay attention to the things that are close to them emotionally, not necessarily financially. I think.
Okay,
Yeah,
so Drew,
Ed, let me just add something in there.
Sure thing, and then Drew.
One of the things that we do at Syracuse Allied, and I've seen in many top service providers, is that when customer service is speaking with transferring a corporate relocation, that person that's moving, is some of those key points are what is really most important to you in this relocation.
Right.
And it may be that piece of china, it may be the piano, it may be the grandfather clock, and to really flush out and Bruce, this is to say what you were saying before, is the communication, is to really make sure that we don't miss, that we are highly sensitized to what's really important to that transferee and his household goods. And the more communication, we have a saying in the horses all the time, is preparation is really the key to execution in everything with them. And it's so in our whole life. If you're properly prepared in household goods relocation, you really can execute the move much better. So, okay.
Drew.
Sure. Yeah,
What's
just to follow up on the animal transportation, right? I think, Ed, I come from that third party side of things, from real estate into, believe it or not, pet transportation, which introduced me to the whole world of mobility. And to speak and support Roy's probably survey results, and Roger and Bruce's statement of, you really got to ask the right questions. Even now, with Sterling Lexon dealing with mobility, we see quite often that the highest priority for some folks is a pet, right? That's a family member now, right? So you have to learn how to, whether it's format your surveys correctly or have those conversations up front to find out what is of highest priority to your client or to the end user. I think those things are crucial. And as dynamics change, just as was shared earlier, what's important now, as dynamics change, we found, people weren't moving for kids and, household goods. They were moving a backpack, a laptop, and a ferret. And those things changed, right? So you had to adapt. And so we're seeing, more and more changes. Believe it or not, you see things trending back towards some traditional things as the millennials have grown out of that early stage of travel abroad with nearly nothing. Now they're settling down and things are being moved. So change is happening. It's being stymied by a pandemic, but it's happening, and things are not being put off. They're just being delayed, if you will.
Our initial sponsors of this series are porchlightrental.com, which is rental relocation destination services. Also cubemonk.com, which is container, high-tech, super inventive They were supposed to be on the show today, but they're both traveling, so it's a little difficult. CubeMonk.com. And also AIRS Relocation. AIRS happens to be our largest sponsor for several years. Thank you very much. And we, of course, welcome other sponsors. As I said, we'll be doing about 100 broadcasts like this between now and the end of the year. And we'll have worldwide reach. I welcome you all to come back. So that's very, very quickly, just go around the horn here. Everybody just quickly, starting with Sandrine, just say your name and how to reach you.
So I'm Sandrine Bardot in Dubai, compensation and benefits consultant and trainer. And I can be reached at sandrine@compensationinsider.com.
I'm Mark Colo with Chipman Relocation, Vice President of Sales and Marketing. My email is mcolo@chipmanrelo.com. And you can reach me anytime, 949-500-1084. That's my...
Yeah, and don't forget, findcures.org. Okay, Bruce?
Bruce Waller. The best way to reach me is just go to my website, brucewaller.com, and you can find all my information. Would love to connect on LinkedIn.
And Roger?
Yeah, so I'm Roger Sorhagen. I'm with Syracuse Moving and Storage, Allied Van Lines, and I'm VP of National Account Sales for them. And you can reach me at rsorhagen@syracusemoving.com. Ed,
Okay.
is it possible for you to share these emails
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
everybody?
I will
That would be
follow
great.
up. Okay, Roy
That would
had
be
to
great.
jump off. Roy Phelps was QMM Allied. Roy Phelps, that's PHELPS. Really good guy, trustworthy, very, very connected in Canada. And also Drew.
Yeah, happy to be here again. Thanks for the time, Ed. Drew with Sterling Lexicon, Mobility and Relocation. You can find me at drew.phillips@sterlinglexicon.com.
All right, Bruce Waller, bwaller@goarmstrong.com. And Brian jumped off. Brian with IAM in Washington, D.C. Really good to have him on the show. Thanks, everybody, for being on Global TV. We'll be back to you soon. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ed.
Thank you.
Great
Bye-bye.
meeting you guys.